No matter what time of the day it is when you're listening to this, I certainly hope that you're having a good day, have had a good day, will have a good day, just good day. Welcome in. It's the Good Day Podcast. Yeah, we've changed the name. Used to be Three Guys Before the Game. Now we're all about you feeling just great and good. It's the good, no, just kidding. Three Guys Before the Game, episode 533. Why would we change the name now? We've already screwed up 532 of these. We might as well go for 533 and go for the Grand Salami. Senator is here. The other guy who used to be here isn't here anymore either. That's fair, right?
Fair.
Well, whatever
Coach
happened.
Stevenson's not here either today.
That was good. He's back out there. Went to Oklahoma City, right?
Yeah, on the way.
That was a fun episode. We'll get into that. Three Guys Before the Game. We'll have our textual healing coming up. We've got a lot to talk about, so we've titled the show Knights, Cyclones, and Wildcats. Oh, my. All right? So West Virginia, as you know, beat UCF. Maybe some, well, actually, as you know, West Virginia beat UCF. As you'll hear in textual healing, maybe not. We'll talk about that. Three Guys brought to us by Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. At no time more than now have you as a business owner or someone that has a network computer system need to make sure that it is operating safely and is not open to attack. Comax Business Systems, among the many things that they provide for businesses, it's one of those things. They'll do remote monitoring of your network. They can come in and do a free inventory checkup. We like to call it a computer colonoscopy to make sure that you're safe and good to go. And they'll tell you where you are safe, where you're not safe, where you're susceptible, where you are vulnerable. And they'll do that for you. And they can provide remote monitoring. Among the many things they also sell is and are digital phone systems from one line to 1,000. Comax Business Systems. Three Guys brought to us by Go-Mart. Go for good times. Go for Go-Mart. You see them there? Green, red. They're ubiquitous across the state. And there's also a lot of them. Not only are they ubiquitous, there's a lot of them. Get your rewards card, and you'll save money on your fuel and on your food. Go for good times. Go for Go-Mart. Three Guys also brought to us by Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. Senator and I this week, man, we had a fantastic conversation with Mike over at Lou Wendell.
We did.
I mean, you know, the one among the many things that we came out of that conversation, it was this. You know, some people are in business and they sell whatever it is that they sell, and they just sell it because they sell it. Then some people love and live what they sell. Lou Wendell people have been in business for over 40 years, 45 years now. They love to boat. Like right now.
And live it.
They're giddy. Like everyone, they just live it. We'll talk about the special they got for our Three Guys listeners coming up in just a little bit.
Which I am surprised he had some time. This is starting to roll for them now. Here we go. We keep saying it's boating season's coming. Yeah. Boating season's coming. They're hustling.
Well, they're about ready to put all them boats in the docks.
Oh, that'd be nice. Yeah, here they come.
We'll talk about that live camera they got too. That was kind of neat. Three Guys and Spreads on Stats coming up, brought to us by the Conley CPA Group, providing value beyond the numbers. All right. So what do you say we get this sock hop popping here? Had a situation, by the way, before we came into the parking lot today.
Huh?
Came into the parking lot. I had my Three Guys pullover, the really nice Peter Millar one.
Yeah.
That you can get.
That light blue one?
Similar color to you.
Yeah, with that Three Guys, the secondary mark on there.
Secondary logo. And I'm fiddling around, taking it out of my truck. And I'm going like, do I take the clothes hanger off? Do I just take the clothes hanger off now and walk it in? Or should I just, so I'm jacking with it. Shirt falls off.
Oh.
Wet, dirty pavement. So I come in, try to clean it off. Because everyone says all you got to do is put water and Dawn on it. Dawn and water will clean anything.
You made it worse?
It helped it, but it was DNPHD. It was DNPHD. Did not pod, host decision.
Although I don't know if that's host decision. That's like a warm-up injury.
Yeah.
It's like an injury in warm-ups. You're not able to go.
It was a scratch.
Yeah.
So
not a healthy scratch either.
So I got nothing on. I mean, as far as gear goes, but you can get our gear at episode800.com.
I went no gear today too.
Yeah.
We're going to be placed in another order here soon. We need some more gear.
Spring season.
Yeah. New color line.
Mm-hmm.
Coming soon.
Met up with some Three Guys fans on, was that Tuesday we played?
Tuesday.
On Tuesday, had a fun time. We'll talk about that coming up. Also had a picture made with one of our Three Guys listeners.
And texters.
Yeah. So we got a bunch of stuff to jump into. 3 games. We'll look back at UCF.
Well, really 4.
The women's game.
Because there's going to be a double Wildcats hit here.
Yeah. I got an embarrassing story about that one.
Oh, we got a lot. All right, get into it. Let's go.
All right, so do we just go right into spreads on stats and just play them?
Well,
you probably do, right?
I mean, I got
4 things.
Here's what we should probably do. There's 4 things. There's a billion numbers. Just hit it. Yeah, because it's the whole thing. You might have to hit it a couple times. This is like the whole thing's a Conley CPA spreads on stats segment, I think.
So I checked the numbers. We'll just go right to the numbers. Here comes a heater.
So you're saying that Conley's CPA group is getting its bang for its buck?
Well, they are. This is like Conley CPA on April 12th. Not like in September when you have a lot of time left. This is like right crunch time when there's a lot.
Right.
Multiple spreadsheets, multiple calculators going.
Yeah.
Have to bring the one out that has the tape on it still and runs. You got to get all that. I had all that out this morning. There's a lot.
Conley CPA Group sponsors our Spreads on Stats segment. Who are they? What do they do? They provide value beyond the numbers, which means they are a CPA group, but they are there walking hand in hand with businesses throughout the state of West Virginia, surrounding states, giving you guidance and clarity as to what are the best decisions that you can make for your business. So you boil it all down, so you're not paying more than you really should be paying, that's fair, right? You give what you have to give, but you don't have to give more than you need to give. What's the smartest way to do it? It's the Conley CPA Group. Official. They're the official Spreads on Stats sponsor.
Sure.
Yeah. Got accosted by a CPA there right before the game on Tuesday.
Now, I'm sure you did not get accosted. I thought that handled it very well. That they could have accosted you for your previous comments, but they did not.
I know him. You know him?
Mm-hmm.
I've known him for years.
Yeah, sure.
Didn't know he was a CPA.
Obviously.
Van Slider, who's got one of the all-time greatest names ever.
That is a great name.
Van Slider. What were you looking there on the 2-2? Fastball? Nah, I was looking for the Van Slider. So Van comes up to me and he informed me that, hey, by the way, I'm a CPA. And you're giving grief to CPAs. You say we get nervous during tax season. I said, well, let me ask you, I don't do it anymore. My son is a CPA now. I said, yeah, okay. I said, did you get nervous? No, I didn't get nervous. He said, I may have gotten a little fatigued. We worked 70 hours a week.
Well, he's handled it very well because I talked to Van in Wheeling previous to this and said he's a CPA and to let you know that he's a CPA.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. Now
so
you know it twice.
He's a CPA photographer.
Correct.
Okay. Certified photographer.
I thought he handled it very well.
Yeah. All right. So where are we going to jump, Knights?
You want to start UCF? Yeah, let's start there. That was a nice win.
Well, you hit every single stat.
But the scouting report was a good one on that one.
But the free throw rate didn't adjust itself until late.
It was late. We were watching it, weren't we? Yeah. So let's kind of go through this. And I thought there was a couple parts to this. Number one, it was one of those occasions where the scouting report, what the numbers told you West Virginia needed to do to win, were exactly right on. And then the other part, West Virginia executed on those things. I mean, we can sit up here all we want and tell you what the scouting report is and how you go about winning the games. That doesn't mean you're going to, but that particular one did for both sides. So let's just dive right in. We said first what, though? What was the very first part? Doesn't have to be a spreads on stats. The first key to that game was what with West Virginia? It was mental and fight. Were you going to show up and fight a team that had bullied you in Orlando, which is what UCF did in the first meeting? And West Virginia did. Right from the very start, you could tell West Virginia had energy. They came out, made some shots, playing defense, jumped out early. I thought that was critical to that game to start mentally.
They came to ball.
They did.
You could tell right from the beginning because West Virginia got displaced in the first game in Orlando, thrown around like a rag doll, just displaced, moved around. And then they came out with a little bounce to their step, had a little to them.
Free throw rate. Let's just start right with that one. We've said this before, but every Big 12 win for West Virginia has a free throw rate that is above 44%. So again, free throw rate is the number of free throws attempted divided by your field goal attempts. Shows you the rate at which you're getting to the free throw line. The higher that number, the better it has been for West Virginia, showing that they're doing things other than relying on the three-pointer. Shows that you're getting the ball into Jesse Edwards, who absorbs a lot of fouls. Shows you that Raekwon Battle is taking the ball to the basket and getting fouled. So that's why free throw rate matters for this West Virginia team. And you're right, in the first half, it just was not there. The officials were letting that game go, and it was physical. It wasn't any less physical. There just weren't a lot of calls. You were having to play through some of the contact. So you and I kept watching that number, and we watched it climb and climb and climb to the point by the end of the game.
You were there.
West Virginia got to the number it needed to. It landed above 44% in that game. It was actually 48% was the number. And it was another truism that came to fruition. West Virginia made 18 free throws. UCF shot 18. So we see that a lot. If you make the same number of free throws or more than the other team attempts, it generally turns into a win. That was the case. It mattered twofold. Number one, because West Virginia's wins have followed that pattern. And then number two, UCF was a bottom 100 team when it came to opponent free throw rate. So they put you on the line, and you needed to take advantage of that to score points. Part of the reason you needed to score points at the line, because we hypothesized you would not get a lot of second chance points against their size.
Right.
You did not. Would you end up with 7 second chance points there for West Virginia off just a few handful of 6 offensive rebounds? So that's why that mattered. You needed to find a way to score. West Virginia did from the free throw line. The other part that goes along with that, and the sharing of the basketball and the moving the basketball, and don't let it get stuck in either iso ball or just shooting threes, is West Virginia's assist rate. When that number is right up against 60%, it generally turns into a win for West Virginia. It was against UCF, 58%. That was led by Kerr Kreis's 7 assists and 1 turnover. We'll talk about Kerr coming up. I thought he was fantastic. Not just those raw numbers. The 7-to-1 assist rate's outstanding. But I thought he had some other passes. If you know, what is it in hockey? Is it a secondary assist there? Or
Sure.
just called a hockey assist?
Yeah, you got it.
I make the pass to you, you make the pass to the scorer that scores, I get a secondary assist.
Yes.
He had a lot of those too. He was very good. All right, turnovers were another thing. We said West Virginia has to control the turnovers, and that was twofold. One, just the obvious. The less you turn it over, the more possessions you're going to have at your basket, the better it is for your chances to score. That's one. Number two, because UCF has struggled to shoot the ball in most games this season, you did not want to give up those live ball turnovers. They were a top 20 team in steal percentage. We saw that in Orlando. A bunch of steals led to easy baskets at the rim. The game plan for West Virginia needed to be limit those turnovers so they didn't get easy baskets, and then you could force them to have to run offense and shoot from the outside. We'll get to that coming up. West Virginia took control of that game in the first half. They only had 3 turnovers in that half. So I thought that really set the tone. Now, UCF came up with some steals late. They started really cranking up their pressure in the second half, and they ended up with, 9 turnovers in the second half, did West Virginia?
Right.
But when that game was decided and mattered, there were only 3. I thought they did a tremendous job with the turnovers. Another part we talked about that goes along with that key. Force UCF to make shots on you. Do not get eaten up in the paint as you did in the first meeting. Now, Jesse Edwards' return we thought was going to help that, right? You get a good 7-footer back in your lineup that you didn't have in the first meeting. That should automatically help. But here was the second part of that. We said, make UCF shoot from the outside. If they make a bunch of threes, so be it. You tip your cap. But let them show you if they can make threes, because generally they don't. Away from home, they don't. Visiting teams in the Coliseum have not been making it at a high rate, about 31% of the time this year. Make them shoot from the outside. I thought then West Virginia backed that up with a really good game plan from Josh Eilert and staff. They not only went heavy zone, but they rotated that zone between zone and man a little bit just to give UCF different looks. Tony, I didn't think UCF was comfortable offensively all night. And quite frankly, in the second half, I'm not sure what they were doing at all, which we'll get to in just a second. But that zone defense was the key. It forced Central Florida, a poor three-point shooting team, to take threes on 53% of their shot attempts. More than half.
Crazy.
Maddening. I don't know why a team that struggles so much to shoot threes would do that. and they cranked it up in the second half. That number kept rising throughout the game. They shoot a three on average 37% of the time. This was 53%. Terrible game plan by UCF, but really good execution by West Virginia. And it wasn't just sitting back in a zone. I thought that zone was active. I mentioned this to you on Sportsline last night. Quinn Slazinski playing in the back of that zone with his length and his ability to move. He was effectively shutting down the wing and the baseline three. He was covering two spots,
Right.
closing off one whole side of the floor. UCF just kept firing it. I don't know what they were doing. UCF had the most guarded catch and shoots it's had all season.
Wow.
So West Virginia has a tendency to leave people open. They didn't in this zone. This looked as good as the zone did against Ohio State that night in the near win in Cleveland. So 20 guarded catch and shoots for UCF, the most they had all year. So it wasn't just UCF missing shots. West Virginia was causing some of that.
And West Virginia was going into the zone on makes. So the fact that West Virginia was making shots when they were coming back down,
point.
they were going into the zone, so it was good that they were making shots so they could play more zone.
34 total catch and shoots for UCF, also a season high. So if you would have drawn that up, as we did draw it up before the game and said, force them to take jump shots and see if they can beat you. They took the jump shots and they couldn't beat you. So excellent execution by West Virginia to go along with the plan.
Yeah, hats off. Might not be the only time you see them. Might see the Knights again. You could see them in Kansas City.
I would guess they won't rely on the jump shot so much in the next game.
I would think so. Darius Johnson, their point guard, he didn't want to rely on it toward the end of the game either.
No.
He just said, yeah, if you guys keep chucking, I don't care. I'm going straight into the rim.
Here's the other part that was really good by West Virginia. Coming into that game, UCF was in the top 3% nationally defensively, points per possession against the pick and roll. So that was a potential concern for West Virginia because West Virginia likes to run the pick and roll. But this was an elite defense against that. Part of that's because they're great size. Not just one guy in the middle. They rotated three bigs in there at times, putting 2 7-footers out there at a time. In that particular game on Tuesday night, West Virginia put 20 points on them out of the pick and roll set.
Wow.
Against a team that was top 3% nationally. That's the most West Virginia had since back on January 27th. So that was really effective. It's one of those, the game plan was great by forcing them to shoot, but the other part was they just flat out executed them. Said, oh, is that right? You're good at pick and roll defense? Guess what we're going to still do on you? We're not going to run away from the pick and roll. We're going to run pick and roll right at you. That's where Jesse Edwards back in the lineup helped tremendously as well.
Yeah, Diallo, who hurt West Virginia the first game, had a 14 and a 12 in Orlando. Just had a non-factor game on Tuesday. He plays 16 minutes. He goes 1 for 2 with 4 rebounds, so just not a factor.
One other individual note, let's call out Raekwon Battle was outstanding, 24 points for him. Clearly, when he scores, gets over 20, West Virginia's going to be in the game. But it's how he got to 24 that really impressed me. We've talked about him occasionally. He'll settle for threes. I think he's better when he puts it on the floor and either gets to the rim or the mid-range. He did against UCF. He only had 3 3-point attempts out of his 15 total shots. So he did a great job of forcing the action and getting to that mid-range shot.
Here's what we probably haven't talked enough about with Raekwon's performance against UCF. The game in Orlando was his absolute worst game of the year in regard to his demeanor. Remember? He got booted.
Yeah.
That was his Eric Stevenson. Speaking of Coach Stevenson, that was his Oklahoma State game when Eric, had the heave-ho. And Raekwon that night in Orlando was unhappy with the officiating. It got to him. He was talking with the officials, eventually talked too much, and Gary Maxwell double-teed and threw him out. Raekwon got as banged around this second game as he did the first game, but he refused.
Maybe more.
Yeah.
Maybe more. But
he refused to talk.
Yeah.
And he refused to complain.
Yeah.
And as a result, he just kept coming and coming and coming. So that's a heck of a 180 for him from getting blown out to going 20-plus on him. That's a great game.
All right, 2 more individuals let's call out here. First and foremost, Kobe Johnson quietly played extremely well, right? I mean, he's done a nice job of being a guy that was playing 39 and a half minutes a game early on.
It was 39-52.
Then there was an influx of the 19 new guards that were added to the roster, limited Kobe's playing time, and he's worked his way back into that. And And there's nothing on his stat line that makes you go, oh my God. But he did a bunch of stuff. 8 points, 5 rebounds, 1 turnover. And those little teardrop shots in the lane I thought were really effective because it showed, hey, we're going to go right at these guys. And guess what? There were a lot of blocks. UCF blocked a lot of shots. But there were times, too, when West Virginia said, okay, fine, we'll still come in here. So I thought Kobe Johnson played really well. And then, oh, by the way, you can tell it was a win because we've now called out 4 or 5 individual players and haven't got to the dude that had a double-double in Jesse Edwards.
Yeah.
Makes a difference.
Yeah, just a huge, huge difference. Plus, he got his nose bloody. I mean, it was a game.
Had the block of the year.
The block of the year. It'll be tough to take that one off the mantle. How do you make a better block than that one? I don't know how you make a better block. Probably the only way that Jesse would now lose block of the year is if someone goes straight at you and you go up and do a Konate 2-hand takeaway of the ball.
Yeah.
Just like, I'll just take this from you. That's probably the only way I would give it.
So behind the defender, swings and pins it against the rim, takes it off the rim. However he did that. Volleyball stuffed it into the rim, started a fast break, got points the other way.
That was fantastic.
He also, Edwards, more than just that block, he had a couple of those where they went right at him and he stayed completely vertical.
Yep.
Right? In the air, vertical for contact, alter the shot, affected the shot, no foul called. That's hard to do too.
Yes, it is.
He was really good.
And it's good to see that if you play by the rule and just go straight up, that's the rule. If you don't break the plane of verticality and do, a weeping willow with your arms or any, hip movement to cause but if you go pogo stick straight up into the air, they're not going to call it. More than not, they're not going to call it if you play straight. And because of his length, he can affect a lot of shots because all he has to do is go up straight.
Yeah.
All right, that was pretty good.
Yeah, that's all my UCF stuff.
So we move into chapter number 2 of Spreads on Stats. West Virginia against the Cyclones of Iowa State. Not a great situational setup here for West Virginia. Why? Because Iowa State played on Monday, so they've had additional rest, and they're home, and they lost in that game against Houston. So you better get ready, kind of like one of them bullfights where they pull that gate up, and that bull, he'd been waiting a long time to go. There's going to be 14,000. Every butt will be in a seat in Hilton Coliseum on Saturday afternoon. They're going to pull the gate up, and instead of the run of the Bulls, it's going to be the run of the Cyclones. And West Virginia better get ready to hold on to its hat in the first 8 minutes of the game because they could blitzkrieg you, and you better be ready to go.
Super big challenge, as you mentioned. Great environment, one of the really fun places to play in college basketball from an atmosphere standpoint. Maybe not fun for the visitors, certainly not this year. Their defense is the story, and it's been elite this year. 3rd overall in defensive efficiency nationally, so they're going to guard. So the very first part of this game, we really don't even have to go into a bunch of keys. The major overarching theme is going to be, can West Virginia score enough on this Iowa State team to get the win? So a lot of these keys are going to be based on that premise. Can West Virginia get points? How does it get points? How do you score on a team that's 3rd overall in defensive efficiency? So similar to a profile of a Houston. And we know that was a tough road environment there. Mm-hmm. So 2nd in opponent turnover percentage as well. They feast on points off turnovers. They win that category in games by an average of 22-11. So on average, they're plus 11 points in points off turnovers. So start there. That's obviously a key for West Virginia every game. They've had turnover problems. They didn't against UCF. It turns into a win. Watch out against this Iowa State team. So let's stay on the offense. The challenge is scoring points. How do you do it? I've got a plan.
Oh, wait a second. Let me do this then in that case. If he's got a plan, I would be...
It incorporates a few things that we say West Virginia does when it wins games. So you've got to go to this formula. First and foremost, the passing has to be on point. You've got to move the basketball. So take some of the passing you saw the other night where I thought Kriisa was just tremendous. His ability to look off defenders and have guys jumping into passing lanes that ultimately he didn't use were huge. He's going to have to do that again. But here's something a little more in the weeds. Iowa State loves to double the ball. So you've got to watch out. Kreese is going to get some doubles thrown at him right away. He's got to unload that in a hurry, then move the ball quickly off of that. You can get free on them. but you've got to be an elite passing team in this particular game. So watch the passing from West Virginia. If they can move the basketball, they're going to get some open threes. And then the second key is what?
Make them.
Get some open threes, you better make them. Iowa State gives up more unguarded catch and shoots than they have guarded catch and shoots.
Because they're so aggressive on defense.
And that would surprise you a little bit for a defense that is so good, right? That they would leave shooters open. It's one of those things. Now listen, don't misconstrue what I'm saying here, right? So that I'm going to get 19 texts from people in Iowa listening to this. It's a fantastic defense. It's going to be very difficult for West Virginia to walk in and win. They've got to be due for some regression here on some shooting. They're leaving people open too often to have these numbers. Does it come this week? We'll have to see. 53% of the time, Iowa State leaves you unguarded on catch and shoots, more than half the time, as I just said, right? But teams are shooting just 35% against them on those open looks.
You know why?
Because you're tired.
And
you're frantic.
You're exactly right. You're so frank.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, this will be very similar to you go in, you're taking a class in college, and you get ready for your first test in that class, first exam, and you absolutely fail the heck out of it.
Mm-hmm.
That was West Virginia at Houston, because there are great similarities, defensive intensity-wise, between Houston and Iowa State.
Yes.
Well, you failed miserably. Why did you fail miserably? Because you did not pass the ball. You put your head down and just basically drove into double teams. You had no shot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now guess what? We're not at the final, but we're at the past midterm test.
Mm-hmm.
That's that one test after the midterm before the final. So West Virginia, here comes your test. Can you get rid of that ball and pass that thing? Now
and then make the shot.
Yeah, and not be so absolutely flabbergasted by what you've just gone through to get the shot up. But you're right.
It's mentally and physically exhausting to play against defenses like this, as it was Press Virginia back in the day.
Correct.
And we talked about the cumulative effect, and that happens against an Iowa State. The crowd is on you and going bonkers, and you're expending so much energy just getting it up the floor and out of the trap at half court that you're not quite ready to shoot the three. I get it. I get all the issues here. I'm just saying there's a path there. If you can control yourself, slow it down, make shots after you've moved the ball. Here's their losses. Here's what happens in losses. It's that. BYU got 19 unguarded shots against them. Now, BYU's an elite shooting team. That's what they do. Oklahoma got 21 points off unguarded jump shots. That worked. Baylor was one of their other losses. They did it a different way. They made guarded shots. So that's the other part. That's especially hard to do against these guys. But Baylor picked up 21 points off guarded shots. So you're going to have to make shots. I know, here we go, giggle, laugh, haha, you got to make shots. You better make your jump shots specifically against an Iowa State team. If you don't, you're probably in some trouble. So can you space them out, number one? The answer should be yes. Can you get the ball to the guys once you've spaced them out, and then can you make the shot? Because if you can space and move the ball, that takes them out of what they want to do defensively, and then they have to go to plan B.
With the amazing amount of roster fluctuation that we're now experiencing in college basketball, the following numbers I'm about to give you should mean very little. However, if you want to look at something on a plus note, West Virginia's beaten Iowa State 8 of the last 9 meetings and 3 of the last 4 in Hilton. Again,
that's a surprising number.
It is surprising. You wouldn't.
Out of there can't be many teams that go into Hilton and win 3 out of your last 4.
Yeah, 3 out of 4. So last year, West Virginia won there 72-69.
Mm-hmm.
In 2022, went in there and got beat 84-81. The prior time to that, 2021, beat them 76-72. And then the time prior to that, beat them 77-71. That was in March of 2020. So, yeah, you won 3 of 4 there, 8 of the last 9 overall.
One last stat on this. Well, maybe one of the last 2. So West Virginia only gets 32% of its overall shots as unguarded, the catch and shoot jumpers. Last in the nation. I mean, dead last. So what is there?
Excuse me?
362, 364, 712 Division I now. I don't know what the number. They're dead last. They're very last in percentage of unguarded jump shots. Last. Meaning they're first in guarded jump shots. You wonder why West Virginia has struggled to shoot most of the year? It's because they're guarded on almost every shot. Some of that just goes back to the passing too, but think about that. You wonder why it can't be consistent shooting, because you're getting guarded in the very best basketball league in America on most of your shots. Well, that's a recipe for disaster right there. Yeah. But here's the note. Here's what I want you to watch Saturday. Maybe texting you during the game. Pass the ball, get an open look, which you do more than half the time against Iowa State. Here's the number to watch. West Virginia now making 45% of its threes when left unguarded. That has been steadily climbing throughout the year. They're getting better at making open three-point catch-and-shoot shots. If there was ever a time to have that stat back itself up, it would be this Saturday against Iowa State. When they theoretically should give you some, you should have the opportunities. Now go make them.
Talked to Josh Eilert this morning, and Seth Wilson will be back, but not sure of availability or whether or not he'll go, because if you remember, besides his grandmother just recently passing, he's got a groin injury, and exactly where that thing is, you don't know, so we'll have to see. But he would be a guy, to be quite honest with you, if you take a look at his numbers, and he hasn't played in a bit, but he was making threes. I think he'd been making threes recently.
This would be a nice game for him to reemerge.
Totally fresh, like not on the scouting report, just kind of walk out there and bang 4 of them.
We've seen him do that before, right? Texas Tech, was that last year when he got blistering hot, helped carry you to a win? So you're going to need some threes. You got to make them. You should get some open looks. You've been making your open looks. Go ahead and do that. That's a monster key in this game.
Okay. That's pretty good. You did a really nice job on that one.
Hold on. Can I give you one defensive key?
We're still on Iowa State.
We're still on Iowa State. I told you I had a lot. I had a lot on Iowa State. I got down in the weeds. I'll be quick here on the defensive part. They're known for their defense, and that's what's going to win them a game. And that matchup of West Virginia's ability to shoot against their defense probably determines this particular game. Also, side note, you better find a way to get to the free throw line against them too. Did I say that already?
Yes.
Because you got to find that. That's your second prong of scoring. Move the ball, make threes. You also have to get to the line. We know you have to do that every game. Defensively, they're really solid in every offensive metric as well. They're excellent in transition. A lot of that comes off those turnovers. So limit turnovers should limit the transition. They really struggled against Baylor's zone in a loss. So let's just kind of make a little note of that. It's really the only significant zone defense they've faced in Big 12 play. 40 of the 45 zone possessions Iowa State has faced in Big 12 play this year came against Baylor. So they haven't seen it a whole lot. Does West Virginia look to replicate some of its success from the other day and say to Iowa State, okay, we're not going to give up points in the paint, so you go ahead and make from the outside. Right. The difference is what, though? They're at home. They're in their home gym versus UCF that was on the road.
Yeah. It all makes sense.
There you go. That's all I'll give you defense.
Pretty good. And obviously we don't know what K-State's going to do this weekend, so we don't want the scenario or the setup there, but be a nice one to get revenge on, wouldn't it? They kind of came in here, took West Virginia's lunch money.
K-State?
Tweaked their nose, gave him one of these, like the Three Stooges, gave him a Benny Hill, tapped him on top of the head. And Mo used to do the thing with the hands. Here, pick two, right? Doinked you right in the eyes. That's what K-State did. I think Josh Eilert might want to win inside of Bramlage Coliseum.
I would think. That's a struggling K-State team. Lost 7 of 8.
There's some weird teams out there right now. There's some stuff going on. There's weird teams out there in college basketball right now that you kind of go like, huh?
You want to do a K-State quick preview? I mean, we're jumping ahead. I know we've bounded a lot of numbers.
Well,
So I checked the numbers. We'll just go right to the numbers.
All right, go ahead.
So losing 7 of 8 is interesting. Where's this K-State team mentally when you arrive in Manhattan? Here's the giant key here against this particular team. West Virginia really struggled to stop them in the paint and in particular at the basket in game 1. Remember this?
Mm-hmm.
K-State just came in here and said, we're driving at the rim every single time we get the chance. They were 19 of 21 on shots at the rim. 19 of 21 in the first meeting. That was the most points K-State has scored all year at the rim in Big 12 play, as you would expect. 54% of their points came in the paint. That's up about 9% from what their season average was. That led to Kansas State shooting 67% on 2-point attempts. That's up 15% from they normally. They had such a above average offensive night because they were getting such easy shots. That's got to change. Points off turnovers. West Virginia lost that 17-5 in the first meeting. So now can you start to see the keys developing? Stop the points at the paint.
Yeah.
Limit turnovers.
Yeah.
Right? Close off the paint from them. And here's the other reason why.
Right.
K-State struggles mightily from three. Quite frankly, they're bad from three. They do not shoot it well. They're a bottom 40 team nationally in 3-point field goal percentage.
Pack's not making them threes anymore for him?
No, he's not. He's cashing checks in Miami, or was. Kansas State was just 6 of 19 from three in the first meeting. Arthur Kaluma had 4 of those 6. And so I was basically one guy made threes against you the first time. Now, they didn't need to because they were just going to the rim.
He's a big.
Yeah. Here's what's puzzling. Much like we kept saying, what is UCF doing? Why do you keep shooting the three? You're not good at it. K-State does it too. 41% of their shots are threes. And they can't shoot it. Bottom 40 team, or they haven't shot it well. So that's top 75 in the country in three-point attempt rate, but a bottom 40% in the number of ones you make. I mean, that's a recipe for disaster. So same plan as UCF. Make them show you they can beat you from the outside. Maybe they do in their own gym, but I've got to see that. Pack that paint in, don't give up turnovers so they get runouts, and see if they can go make some threes. Here's what also is interesting.
I tell you what, you're flaming hot.
Well, end of the season, got to get everything in. Got a lot of stuff.
These numbers mature over time.
They do. They become more reliant, too, as you saw against UCF. Mm-hmm. K-State's only shooting 30% from three at home.
Wow.
Only 30% at home. Can you keep them out of the lane? If you do, I feel like you can be in this game.
That's what your chance is. You just take your chance and say, okay, fine, we'll play the odds.
Second part now, can you do that defensively, and then how do you score on them? Got to get to the line. Here we go. I know I'm a broken record, but you got to get to the line. You did in the first meeting. This was the only Big 12 game where West Virginia got to 45% free throw rate and lost. Every other time they've won that game in the Big 12. They got there against K-State and couldn't finish the deal.
This is pre-Jesse.
Pre-Jesse. K-State is second to last in the Big 12 in opponent free throw rate. They should put you on the line too. In K-State losses, they've put teams at the line at a 41% clip free throw rate. So it's right in the number that West Virginia needs. So if everything stays to script, which I know is asking a lot in college sports, they should miss their threes. You should be able to score your points at the free throw line. And even though this is one of the toughest places to play in this league, there's some things that line up for you. If you'll just control turnovers and shut the paint off, and particularly shut the basket off, right, I think you got a chance to be in this game. Go steal one on the road.
Yeah. First game, they crushed West Virginia on the glass 35-22. So the Jesse Edwards factor should play in there. And for our producer, Austin Wright, mark that right there, 37 minutes in. Make a mark, 37 minutes in. That's when the Senator. So if they win this game, we'll come back here on Tuesday, just tapping you on the back. Probably get you one of them, go to Burger King and get you one of them paper crowns so you can sit here and you can be the king of pregame stats.
Listen, West Virginia struggled on the road. We know that. Haven't won yet.
Well,
you're going to two of the tougher places to play.
Yes.
Iowa State's going to be a real challenge, but the blueprint's there. I don't know if you can execute it. Try. Kansas State, I think if you're West Virginia, you walk into that place, they're struggling. They've got some metrics that match up with what you can do. You go in and say, all right, let's go, boys. Let's play.
Yeah.
Now, maybe you get beat 20. There's a path there to win that game.
Well, the thing of it is if things don't go well for you Saturday, you've got to be mentally ready to flush it. Sunday, you're going to practice and just stay the day in Manhattan and play Monday night. You can't let Saturday's outcome, win or lose, impact Monday because it's there for you. You're right. It's there for you. All right.
Watch this zone defense, too, this weekend. I think this is two teams you can zone heavily. I think West Virginia might have found a little something there.
Well, I mean, you absolutely have to.
Kansas State's only faced 5 possessions of zone in Big 12 play since January 24th. They haven't seen it a whole lot.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure they'll expect West Virginia to play it. They'll work on it a little bit. Right. Working on it and seeing it are two different things. Be active in the zone.
That's really good. Spreads on Stats brought to us by the Conley CPA Group. If you need help for your business, remote CFO services. That's right. I said remote CFO services. You don't need a chief financial officer taking a parking spot at your place of business. They just come in, their big car, big SUV. You don't need that. Conley CPA Group will give you a CFO that comes in remotely, and will take care of all of that. Thanks to the Conley CPA Group. value beyond the numbers. Three Guys is also brought to us by, as I mentioned earlier, Lou Wendell Marine Sales. And we talked with Mike over there. It's a family-run business. Brad and I talked with Mike at Lou Wendell this week. And as they're getting geared up for boating, I encourage you to check out their website because we didn't know about this. You go to Lou Wendell Marine Sales website, and they got a live camera look at the river where they're going to put all them boats down in those docks. So you can monitor the day, the weather, the whole thing.
Water conditions. Wavy, not wavy. How's it look?
Yeah, exactly right.
That's a very nice little feature.
And right now they got a new special for Three Guys. We're talking about the 2023. There she lies. The 2023 Avalon Tri-Tune Venture 85 CR 23-footer. So we learned, it's powered by a 115 horsepower Honda engine, but you could put, he had some numbers there. I mean, you could put some engines on those bad boys, and you can go for
150. you can go 200.
You can go, You can go real fast. You want to go real fast? You put a 200 horsepower engine on that thing, you go 42 miles an hour.
Yeah,
that's good. And that vessel that we're talking about, rated for up to 12 people, and they won't use this on their description on the website, but I'll use this. It's pimped out. You know that fuel tank's built in under the pontoon there in the motor well. Makes it more centered inside the pontoon, more fuel capacity. I think, if I'm not mistaken,
which means you can stay out longer.
Sure. I think you have to confirm this. I think he said if you take off there from St. Albans, I think you can get down to New Orleans. I think you might, one tank.
Confirm that.
We'll look into that, see that.
I'm not sure that's true, but we'll check it out.
That may not be true, but I do know this. It's got an in-dash fish finder. It's got a depth finder, GPS, the stereo system, the lighting. It's just absolutely pimped out. So check it out. You know, they got 165 dock slips there. So you can check them out, and they're the best.
You know, the other thing, that Tri-Tune gives you a
balance.
Brings you up above the water a little bit, too.
You ride it, don't you?
Yeah, it's nice. Smooths out the ride.
So if you're a pontooner, do that pontoon thing at Lou Wendell Marine Sales. They are, in all seriousness, the premier pontoon boat dealer in our state, and they've been doing it for 40-plus years. Check them out. And all the people there own their own boats. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, they're boaters.
Well, it's not like they work there and go and say, I don't have a boat. No, they have boats. And Lou, he's got one of them stern wheelers.
He does.
I believe they call it the Rufus. I think his ship is the Rufus. So check him out, Lou Wendell Marine Sales.
Well, get down there. It's coming.
What's that?
You better get down there.
Oh yeah, that's
limited
true too.
Selection
that's
here, right? You got to get down there before everybody buys all the boats.
I was unaware on that. Did not know that. So we were talking to them. And by the way, Textual Healing is brought to us by episode800.com. That's where we house all of our merchandise: coffees, popcorns, apparel, hats, caps, bottle openers, granite cleaners,
flags,
carpeting, shingles, whatever you need. It's on episode 800.
Carports.
Landscape, fertilizer. I think we got a combine on there too.
Might have an office building up later today on there.
No, speaking of I didn't realize this. You know, so they say at Lou Wendell right now, if you are going to buy a pontoon, like now's the time, because like they've got a ton there right now, but it's not like they're replacing these things like they replace milk at the convenience store. It takes about 6 months. It takes about 6 months once you order.
You can't get the boat as fast as you can get our popcorn.
That's
right.
That's correct. So supply is there now. You have a better selection if you go now at this time of the year, because if you just do put an order in, you're about 6 months away, because these bad boys are built right here in the U.S. of A. at Avalon up there in Michigan. All right, let's do this bad boy. Textual Healing, first one. Hello, Antonio, Bradford, and Harvey Holbert III. Dougie Fresher from Murrells Inlet, South Carolina, checking in. Tony mentioned the sunset now being after 6 p.m. Well, here's one from Murrells Inlet. This week. Hope you fellas get to experience it this summer. By the way, a proud dad moment. My daughter is following in my footsteps. She's WVU bound this fall. Thanks, as always, great show. So that's a big thing, Brett. I don't know if you're familiar with this. So she's there in South Carolina, obviously, right near Murrells Inlet. You could tell that house is facing water. But anyway.
Great place. Wonderful food there in Murrells Inlet.
Oh, yeah. You see that sign? That's a big thing down south. When kids make their college choices.
Yeah.
That's not here, is it?
I don't know, but that's similar to the committed graphics that the athletes put out on social media, right? That's what you're doing there?
So where my son lives down in North Carolina, I walk around his neighborhood, and these people have signs throughout the neighborhoods of where their kids are going to school. UNC, Duke, this there, and that there.
So they put their commitment signs out front.
They put the commitment. Why in the hell they're doing that, I got no idea. But anyway, go with it. But I didn't know West Virginia had one, so committed to West Virginia. Kind of neat, huh?
Like it.
Like, did you do that when you went to Wartburg?
Did not.
Didn't think so.
Didn't do a graphic either on social media.
You know why? There wasn't social media.
There was not.
Yeah. 3 guys. I really hope that the SEC and the Big Ten merge. That would probably force the Big 12 and the ACC to merge, even though the TV contracts don't line up. Then West Virginia could play schools from PA, Virginia, and North Carolina, Kentucky every year instead of going to Texas, Arizona, Colorado, Utah. Please let this happen. Well, you're giving us a little bit too much power. Trust us, if we could, we would. He says, I'm afraid this makes too much sense for college administrators to consider it, though. Signed by J.D. Southern Coalfields. Things have been interesting this week with the college football playoff and the negotiating that's been going on, and the 2 major conferences trying to, negotiate a deal that would be extremely favorable.
Imagine that.
For them.
Imagine that.
Nothing changes.
We've been saying that for a while.
Great case study in human nature.
They're getting in there trying to kick the door down, telling you, here's what we want.
Yeah.
They're going in trying to hold people hostage.
Yes. The old Springsteen lyric comes in here, right? Poor man wants to be rich. The rich man wants to be king. And the king ain't satisfied until he rules everything. And that's what those 2 leagues are trying to do. So we'll see. Texter, gentlemen 2 or 3. What a nice little surprise that you gave us with Eric Stevenson. Imagine if everyone had the Stevenson mentality. He has a brand on his hands. That's the kind of player we need West Virginia to recruit. The Cam Thurman, Javon Carter, the scrapper, the fighter, and get it done no matter what kind of player. I guess we'll see how it goes with Wren's next hire. Are we efforting on a new popcorn? If so, I'm definitely a buyer. Hoppy said he'd be there for Monday's show. Did he make it? Love the show, Big Guy Mullins. Yeah, Hoppy was here. He showed. New popcorn, we'll have something at some point. Let me ask you this. Again, I haven't brought this up to you at all.
Here we go.
We're getting ready to the spring season, right? And in West Virginia, spring brings ramps. Would there ever be any contemplation to do a ramp-flavored popcorn?
Oh.
Now, it'd be different. It'd be unique.
That'd be pretty niche, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah, extremely. I just don't know
your
if
palate's got to be a certain
it goes away from
place to enjoy that.
No one would ever confuse a ramp with a strawberry like we had in our vanilla strawberry popcorn.
Oh, that was good.
You think you could do something with a ramp?
I don't know. Pretty niche. So far, our stuff, our product collabs have been broad-based.
Yeah.
Easy to drink beer, really smooth and good coffee. Couple different popcorns, but that encompass a lot of
we've
flavors
stayed
that
away
the
from
general
extremes.
public. We haven't been extreme. Ramp popcorn might be a tad extreme for us right now.
All right, just throwing it out there. This one was just 4 words. This whole text was just 4 words. I don't know the context, don't know exactly what it was about, but it just says, Brad Howe is elite. All right.
Was that a text I sent you? I sent that to you?
Just said that. I said, okay, I'll go with it.
Okay. Thank you.
Craig in Craigsville, probably not his real name. Tony, do you ever say something during a basketball game that's meant for a player or a referee knowing that they can hear you, but if you play it off as part of the broadcast. I do not do that now.
What?
I did it
What do you mean now? That means you've done it in the past?
one night. I was losing my mind. I think you were at this game. NIT, Reynolds Coliseum,
Oh,
West Virginia, North Carolina State.
one of the all-time greats, one of my early years here, wanted to be at that game so bad, jumped on the cheerleader bus.
Came
Rode
down
the
to Raleigh.
cheerleader bus down and back. That was one of the great atmospheres that I've been a part of.
Loudest game I've ever been in my life.
That was awesome.
Including Allen Fieldhouse.
Yeah, that was fun.
It was right there.
Yeah.
So this official, have no idea, had never seen him before, have not seen him since. He was just absolutely screwing us. I mean, just frickin' screwing us. And it was so intense. I mean, you can't properly describe how it was just like craziness. And this guy walked over, and whatever reason, like instead of having his back to me, like I just went into like a rant, and like I'm staring right at him while I'm saying
About
it.
how bad the officiating was?
I said, horrible officiating here tonight. Just ridiculous. Like nowadays, they'll throw you. And this guy stared at me, and I was just like losing it. Because at that time, as you know, you lose, your season's over.
Sure.
I didn't want the season to be over.
And that was an intense.
Yes.
That was a great atmosphere.
So
Great.
I just laid into this dude, and this guy's just like staring at me. I might have gone a little McDonough at him. Horrific officiating. The commissioner needs to see this. Reprehensible, disgusting, and improper. But that's about the only time. Like now when those guys come over, I intentionally, number one, I don't, and I don't think I'm talking loud enough for them to hear me. Now, where you were sitting the other night, they probably could have heard you.
Well, they're pretty close.
You're right next to them.
I wasn't talking to them. I was just describing what we saw.
Was that why you kept saying, well, clearly that's not a flagrant one?
Clearly it was a flagrant one.
Texter, I really enjoy listening to Tony and Brad call games together, but I feel like Hoppy is left out. Any way you can bring Hoppy in at times, like how it's done during NFL games when retired officials are brought in. I'm sure everyone would love to hear Hoppy's observations during a controversial call, of which there have been a few.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, no plan there. Texter, the Mountaineers must have heard Tony call them soft during the podcast earlier this week. Every time UCF drew close, WVU found the answer on offense. 2 points on the officiating. Raekwon got absolutely mugged on the dunk attempt in the second half, no call. The next time down the court, the refs did give him a makeup. On the flagrant foul, the replay showed the ref on the far side of the court looking directly at the play, so no way he could have missed it. I admire Ray's maturity and not chirping or seeking retribution. Guaranteed if it had happened to me, I would have garnered a technical and would most likely have been ejected from the game. Then this one came up on a couple of occasions, so I'm going to lean on you because Texter says this: how can you go back and review a goaltending call? Refs cheated West Virginia out of 2 points. If you go back and look, West Virginia got possession after the block with what looked like an easy putback. Luckily, it didn't make a difference in the outcome. So there you go.
We had two of those.
Yes.
We had two goaltending reviews in that game.
Yeah. Texter also.
If I remember, those evened out, right? West Virginia was. I think they evened out.
The weirdness on that thing, there was a stretch of 1 minute and 50 seconds before the end of the half that they came back and looked at after.
And there was a dead ball after, because we were saying that. Well, why don't they come over and look at it now? But they did. They waited till when the halftime came.
Yeah.
Which was odd.
Texter, boy, this is Chuck in Lumberport. Boy, did we ever need a game like that. Not one for the fan, but the coaches and the players. I was telling my cousin in Raleigh, would love to see this team and the coaches get together one more year. Who do we have coming back? Redshirted and coming in so far. West Virginia needs to bring the coaching staff back. I mean, you could go through the roster, but I mean, like Raekwon's done. Jesse Edwards is done. Again, when you graduate. So the guys that graduate may have eligibility, but they could leave because they could become graduate transfers. A gazillion moving pieces to all that.
That was always a fun exercise in the offseason, is to talk about who could return. Now you might as well just wait.
Yeah.
Just wait, because it could be 13 new guys, 13
Yeah.
totally different guys.
Yes.
So we'll wait.
This message is for the senator. That'd be you.
Uh-oh.
Brad, I would like to bring forth to the Three Guys board a motion to suspend Tony's audio mixer control duties for at least the next 3 shows.
What'd you do?
The music during textual healing during the last episode clipped so bad, my AirPods busted, and I needed to go to the doctor and get custom hearing aids for severe hearing loss. I bring forth the motion to the Honorable Senator of Monongalia County for consideration. Click. Signed by Luke in Clarksburg.
Thank you, Luke. We have some audio problems last show?
We did. And
Operator error or technical issues, do you think?
technical, and I say that because if you want to really get technical, do you want me to like?
Well, give kind of a quick.
So obviously we got compression, we got processing going on in the studio here right now, and I run that thing. You look at the VU meter right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where I keep it. Is it below the red?
Below the
It's
red.
all below the red.
Yeah.
So my worry, the audio was crap last show on the YouTube feed. So I'm worried that when the audio passes through into our video unit, that it got amped up. We're efforting to make sure it doesn't happen again. If it does, we'll have to create a whole new profile and just start over again. But yeah, I was with you on that.
Thank you for the inquiry.
But he was talking about textual healing, so apparently what
Did you
happens...
run it too hot there?
Yeah, maybe I did. Check. 1 2 1 2 2 2 2. Yeah, let me see. 1 2 3 4. Yeah, it probably needs to be like probably did minus 20, minus 30. 1 2 3. That's probably there. All right. Thank you. We'll get that fixed.
Okay.
Periopolis Phil, hello. The goaltend reversal call is dumb if you don't review it immediately after. We had possession when they initially called it a goaltend. Then they reversed it 5 minutes later, turned into a turnover. Also, if you had the over-under, it cost you. Over-under was 144.5. The final was 144.
Mm-hmm. I think it was started at 143, that total, if I'm not mistaken. So if you had the over there,
do you miss
it? Over it.
Do you miss not messing with the numbers?
Yeah, it's fun. Those are fun.
Yeah, but
yeah,
you miss it?
Yeah, I'm not doing it right. Not doing it right now.
You yearn for it, but you can't. Yeah. Jim in Morgantown. Same thing. Long-time listener, first-time texter. UCF gets called for goaltending. Is later reversed upon review. Problem being, West Virginia got the board on the goaltend, so they took the points away in the possession. How's that a good way to officiate? Either way, get it right or review it on the dead ball. Don't wait 5 minutes. Luckily, it didn't cost us.
Mm-hmm.
Texter, hey, Tony and Brad, fine-looking Phil created quite the coordinated look for you guys on game day attire. It was so fun to meet you. I enjoy the podcast so much, and I'm so happy to have that West Virginia connection. Well, there she is. Folks, you are looking live at MJ from Savannah. I loved being in the Coliseum for the great win over UCF. Officiating is still hard to take, but the outcome was sure sweet. Thank you for your warm reception when I introduced myself to you. Go Mountaineers, MJ in Savannah.
That was great to meet her.
She was
texted
awesome.
a few times. That was great.
Lived in Morgantown for 30 years now, lives in Savannah, and her heart is in West Virginia like a lot of our listeners.
She misses it. And we can't see it in that picture, but she had one of our Always a West Virginia Connection shirts on.
Correct. Yep, she was wearing the Always a West Virginia Connection. Thank you very much. Got to meet her sister, too.
Yes.
Who was there.
Yeah, that was great.
Text. This text is for the judge, jury, and the executioner of all Mountaineer fan law. I have a confession. I was finishing Monday's episode on this Wednesday morning, so that'd be yesterday, on my way to work when I heard, we'll be back to recap the UCF game on Thursday. I realized I completely forgot and missed the UCF game. As I'm rewatching the game at work, I cannot understand how one could think it was live with 0 commercials. But the question is, what should my sentence be? Well, I'd normally crush you on that, but I got one for you last night. So I'm watching the WV women's game.
Right.
Big matchup, Kansas State in Manhattan. West Virginia's the underdog. So I'm working on my computer and watching the game on a computer, that ESPN Plus.
2 different screens or same computer?
Got about a 15-inch computer to my left that I keep the game on. And then I got big, massive screen in front of me that I do my work on.
Okay.
So I'm watching the game, and I'm listening to the radio broadcast as well.
Sure. You see a lot going on.
Had it perfectly synced up.
Okay.
Got the radio on my phone. I got the video. I got the ESPN Plus thing going on, and I'm watching it, and it's tight. It's back and forth tight.
Fun game.
Yeah. Had some opportunities. So West Virginia goes down 3. Call the timeout. There's 6 seconds to go. Man,
4.
maybe
4.
4 seconds.
You're talking the end of regulation?
No, yeah. So anyway, it was the sequence where we're down 3. We need the 3. We inbound the ball, and we throw it away.
Yes. Yeah, there's more than 4. I thought you were talking the very last possession.
We throw it away.
Right.
They get the ball, transition into the front court, and I went, pop, pop. Shut them both off.
You thought it was over. You thought that was it.
You're down 3.
Yeah.
They got possession of the ball.
Yep.
I said, I've seen this movie. I know how it ends.
Yep.
Bummed out.
Yep.
May have said a word. The wife, I had called the wife in. I said, here, come here, look at this.
Yeah.
It was 14 seconds. That's what it was.
Yeah.
I said, come here, look at this. And then I went, shut them off. This morning, I'm going on Metro News, and it says Kansas State outlast West Virginia in overtime.
You didn't get back in any time last night?
Never turned it back on.
Oh, you missed a great finish.
Oh, I understand.
Oh.
I'm going to go back and watch it this afternoon.
Oh.
First time I've ever done that.
There was some great strategery there late, because in the women's game, you can call timeout and advance the ball to midcourt, which is a heck of an advantage. I'm still not sure why that rule exists. That is a massive advantage for the offense.
Pro.
Okay, but tell me why it exists.
Because they want more offense and they want fantastic finishes.
I'll tell you, that'd be hot if I was defense.
Well, I mean, that's the pro game.
You just gain half a court for no reason. You didn't do anything. You got half a court.
Excitement. You're in the entertainment
business. Well, I'll tell you what's exciting. What's also exciting is West Virginia down 2, 4 seconds to go. A perfectly executed inbound pass that hits Jordan Harrison on the move. Right. So this was her version of the Papa John's final second shootout. Or maybe Kroger sponsors that now. Was Papa John's for all the years I was there. Jordan takes it all the way to the basket, a sweet left-handed hooking layup, counted to tie the game to send it to overtime.
That's what I read.
On the heels of did you say JJ's banked in 3?
Heard about it.
That came in the final 14 seconds.
I'm well aware.
Down 3.
Yeah.
Quinterly on a guarded catch and shoot.
Banked one.
Out of rhythm, banks in a 3 to tie it. Oh, that was a great last 14 seconds.
Oh, I heard.
Overtime was tough.
Yeah, got scored 15-6.
Ioka Lee is really good. They're big.
Ioka Lee has just wonderful hands.
She can catch it.
Oh, she can catch it, and it's in and out of her hands in about a quarter of a second.
She never brings it down either for a big. In fact, we had a little lesson last night with a youth basketball player in my house. Said that's how you do it when you're tall. Keep it up. She was impossible to stop.
So I was thinking of this while I was watching her play, and I've got tremendous respect for her. I mean, how do you guard her? Like, who do you need body-wise to guard that? Because obviously you try to front her, and she's so long that you can throw it up over. I mean, you have to have someone that's about 6'5" to front her.
Yes.
That's a bouncy 6'5".
And they had Donnell leaning on her for a while. That's the other part. You try and lean and push her as far away from the basket as you can, which is really hard.
Good luck.
The double down coming to get her's tough because the double down usually is when you get the swipe. But because, like we just said, she doesn't bring it down, the swipes aren't as effective. It almost has to be like a straight, you've got to almost have 2 bigs and then double fronter or drop somebody down in front to crit, but then you're leaving somebody open.
I understand.
That's why she's first team All-American.
Yes,
it's a nearly impossible matchup.
Yeah. And you know what you can tell about her? She likes to play. Did you get that sense from her?
Yeah,
She
was,
balls. She balls like
yeah, and that was on a hurt ankle.
I know.
They had to keep bringing her out at times to rest her.
I know.
The story of the game that turned into her inside, which also turned into a massive free throw gap. Did you see that free throw gap? 19 of 31 for K-State, 6 of 8 for West Virginia. So K-State plus 13 points at the line, plus 23 attempts. They did their work in the lane. West Virginia had to take a lot of outside shots and didn't have one of its best three-point nights.
First time
Great game. That's two really good teams. The K-State coach after the game couldn't stop talking about West Virginia's team. He said that is an excellent West Virginia team.
Well, that's what I was going to say. This is the deal. So just think where West Virginia's program is going. I mean, I know it absolutely sucks and hurts to lose in that game, but long range, like where's this thing going? They just went in there. First team All-American.
Top 10 team.
Top 10 team. And they take them to overtime, and they're a whisker.
Yeah.
They are a whisker away, right, from that. So this thing is only going to get better for West Virginia, and who knows? You'll see what happens in the conference tournament. But
to further that point, I think these last two games, beating Oklahoma here and doing that on the road, that shows you this wasn't some fluky wild season for West Virginia. Yeah. This is like, okay, this is a legitimate Big 12 contender here.
Yeah. Received another text. All it said was 4 words, 2 exclamation points. And it said this: Tony knew all along, double exclamation point. So, well, what did Tony know all along? Then they sent a link to a New York Times story. Familiar with the New York Times?
Heard of it.
All the news that's fit to print. That's New York Times. Headline: Woman sues tomato company saying those were not San Marzanos in the can. As I first reported and broke several years ago, all of you out there that buy these San Marzano tomatoes are buying fake tomatoes. They're not actually true San Marzanos that are grown in that specific soil in Italy, because it's physically impossible to produce that number of tomatoes on about, 700 hectares? Something like that. So anyway, story, I'm not going to read you the whole story, but it goes like this. A federal judge said the lawsuit in which a California woman accused Simpson Imports of using highly misleading packaging could proceed. The company says its labels do not call the product San Marzano. San Marzano tomatoes are prized by chefs around the world for their intense flavor, are routinely recommended by recipe writers, but one woman in California said that her effort to make a sauce from these rich and balanced tomatoes were upset by a misleading label. Simpson Imports, a Pennsylvania tomato seller, has for years sold Roma tomatoes in cans and boxes, but the California woman, Andrea Valiente, said in a lawsuit filed last year the company had used highly misleading packaging to trick consumers into believing they were purchasing genuine San Marzanos at San Marzano prices. So there's 2 parts to that.
You did first report that. I'll give you credit for that.
There's 2 parts to that. Yes, San Marzano tomatoes exist. You can grow San Marzano tomatoes. The point that I was making when I first said that a couple of years ago was like, don't think that the San Marzanos that you're buying are those from that fertile piece of soil that was left by the volcano so long ago, because that's just a small piece to get that. You can grow a San Marzano. I mean, Stephen Tornado grows San Marzano tomatoes. They're nice, flavorful tomato. You can get those. But I'm saying just don't think you're getting, that's all. Just don't think you're getting those. Just trying to help. Hello, Tony, Brad, and whoever the other guy is you occasionally have on. I wish I'd gotten this text before Coach Stevenson came on the show, but I was one of the people he mentioned seen at his stop in Greensboro, North Carolina. I was sitting behind the Spurs bench and, of course, wearing my West Virginia gear, and made sure that he saw it. He pointed over to me and said, "I see you." Since I no longer live in West Virginia, it was great. There he is, able to catch one of our guys in action. I attached a couple of pictures of him from the game. Hopefully I can catch Gabe playing one of these days as well. Signed by Not Hoppy, Howe, or Hugs and High Point. There's Eric Garden. Eric's just going to guard.
Pretty good.
Just going to guard.
He liked that. You could tell he liked that. Seeing West Virginia fans everywhere he goes. It's kind of right. And the other teammates like, what the heck's going on?
Sure.
That's pretty cool.
Texter, really quick, fellas. I saw my doctor today, whose office is literally 10 blocks from Marshall's campus. In tribute to Gino, I'm wearing my "Thanks for having us" long sleeve tee, and the physician's assistant comes back from the back and says, "I love your shirt." She and her husband are huge fans of Three Guys. I think the number of loyal Mountaineer fans has now surpassed 24. Only game in town is women's softball for me, although I will be on hand for the WVU hardball in Huntington now that they can play past 5:45 p.m. New stadium has lights. Let's go. T-Dub in Barbersville.
Excellent. Thank you. Or the Gino jersey in there, just off the Marshall campus.
Talk to a
Probably
kid.
didn't think. Real quick, I've said this before, but I'll give you full disclosure so you're not on an island by turning a game off early there.
Yeah.
I've said this before. I left that game early.
The Marshall game.
The Gino comeback Marshall
You
game.
left early.
I was on the sidelines for that game. I was working in the department still, and I was on the sidelines.
Yeah.
And I just had it. Right? Their fans were nonstop, wouldn't stop chirping at everybody, including me. I was just standing on the sidelines watching. Looked like it was going to be a loss. Said to the guy I was with, I said, "That's enough, I'm out." I had driven myself down. Had some meetings before and after the game.
Yeah.
Couldn't take it. Had enough. Didn't want to hear any more yapping.
Yeah.
Yipping from behind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Walked out of the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Listened to you on the interstate on the way back.
How'd it sound?
Great. Was beside myself I wasn't there. Came clean to Stu on Monday.
I was just going to ask you if
Came
you
clean.
told Stu.
I just said, "Stu, listen, I got to tell you." just want to be up front here.
Just received an email
Yeah.
from upstairs.
What? Excuse me? From upstairs.
Carrie, upstairs.
Yeah.
Says there's a canister from Anthony Rizzo for the Three Guys in the refrigerator.
Huh.
So should we just leave it in the fridge and come back Monday? Or I won't be here Monday. Tuesday? Will it stay? Will it last?
Well, we'll have to go look at it, but we can't go right now.
Shout out to
That was
Anthony.
nice, Anthony. He was at the tailgate. Couple tailgates. Football season, Anthony was.
Sounds like a New Jersey name. Anthony Rizzo.
Yeah, but he's here.
He's local?
Isn't that cute little baby?
Dang, I don't
Yeah,
remember.
you would if you saw him.
That's
His wife and his baby were at the games.
Okay, cool.
At the tailgate.
All right, well, they brought us something.
Well, thanks, Anthony. We'll go check it out as soon as this is over.
When and if Hoppy returns, he'll have used his GoMart fuel card. He goes every time.
Probably multiple times.
Multiple times up and down the interstate. He's involved in all this legislation now. They're kind of getting close to the end there, I guess. And reminder, if you go to a GoMart, get the fuel card, get the card, you can save money on your fuel and your food. Toasty coffee and so much more. Tell them Three Guys sent you. Texter, Professor Vinny here. I think Charlie from Midlothian brought up a good point last episode. It made me think that listeners gamify their text to try to get them read onto the show, meaning crafting the perfect message, in other words, text, requires both skill and challenge to get it read. The challenge is that not all text get read, and you have to have a really good story or a comment in a short amount of words. I'm liking where you're going here, Vinny. The reward the reward is you get mentioned. You get your text read. If it's good, you get your text read. We have gamified our listenership without Three Guys having to even make it a game. No, I'm all for shorter texts. I've never said that before. I'm all for shorter texts. And if you elect me, I'm all for shorter texts. My point to that is this. Trust me when I tell you this. If you write a really long text, you can absolutely say the same thing in 25% of those words. You really can. Trust me, you can. Unfortunately, some don't get read. They're just too long. They go into the great textual healing in the sky. Remember the last show, people in Antarctica?
Yeah.
2 corrections. Joe and Paula Oliverio. That was them. February 19th. Three Guys episode. We showed them.
Yeah.
At the bottom of the world. That was their 7th continent.
Oh, my.
Antarctica. Last summer, we sent you that picture from Uganda with wild boars. This time, you get penguins. Go Mountaineers.
How about that?
Someone also texted me.
Yeah.
When we were looking at that picture from the last show, Austin, can you bring that up by any chance? And if you can't, don't worry about it. Of
there was the one photobomb penguin that was just over on the left side of the screen.
Very, very good. And I said to you, look, there's even more penguins by that tree line way down there. Well, someone wrote in and said, it didn't say dumbass, but they said, dude,
there it is.
They said those aren't trees. Those are rocks. You can't grow trees in Antarctica. Didn't know that. I guess they're mountains, rocks, whatever.
I wonder why that one penguin's by himself there.
Well, he's all bummed out he couldn't get ESPN Plus. He wanted to watch the Mountaineer game, walk down to the bar down there. He was heading back home.
Had enough of all the other penguins up on the trees?
Couldn't get any buffering. He couldn't get any buffering. That was the Kansas game they took that picture.
Well, I would think the ones up in the trees would have better
well,
cell
those
signal.
Aren't trees. Those are just rocks from what I was told. So that penguin's all bummed out. He's had a couple. And he's heading back home. The damn thing kept buffering and spinning and spinning. He wanted to watch the Mountaineer game at the Penguin Bar in Antarctica. Crazy. Just crazy.
Seventh continent. That's some serious travel.
Yeah, that's really good, man. That's awesome. I commend you for doing that. Right? Super good. Now I'm wondering what Rizzo sent over.
I know. Hurry up and close out here. We can go grab something.
If it's in the refrigerator, got a chance. It's got a chance. Three Guys brought to us by Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. By Gomart. Go for good times. Go for Gomart. By Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They sell family fun. Take advantage of the Three Guys special. Check them out on the web. LouWendellMarineSales.com. That's 3 L's. 2 of them are together. And Spreads on Stats brought to us by Conley's CPA Group, providing value beyond the numbers. So because the World Champs play on Monday, we'll be back in here on Tuesday. Now, I might be a little tired. That's one of those, but I'll be all right.
Middle of the night returns.
What I'll have some game day grind coffee.
Get a big one.
Probably have a big coffee. Might bring a full mason jar in. And
full or that baby one?
I just might bring a whole wide mouth mason jar. Just pound it. If you want some great coffee, visit episode800.com. You know, I went in there and bought a bag this week.
You went to the storefront though.
Went to the bricks
Rusty's.
and mortar.
Yeah.
And the guy says,
roasting.
The guy says, we sell so much of that online that we can barely keep it on the shelf. And I said, well, maybe Rusty ought to hire me as a roaster. I'm available. I could probably
start going over there and help roast and bag.
Well, you help Phil over at Daniels. I can go over and roast the coffee. We're just trying to help West Virginia businesses.
Saw a couple guys. Rick Harvey came in.
Over at Daniels the other night?
Yeah, he said, no, you work on Tuesdays usually.
He knew.
He knew. So I came over and said hello. Good to see him.
All right. Be good, everybody. Thanks so much for being with us. 533rd episode of Three Guys Before the Game is done.